The night began with a message that should never have been opened. A single line of text shattered the calm around the old house. Emily froze as the screen lit her face in the dark hallway. Someone knew her secret, and they wanted her to pay for it. The silence around her grew sharper, almost listening to her breath. A soft creak echoed from the back door, as if someone slipped inside. Her pulse hammered as another message appeared, colder than the first. It warned her that she had only minutes left to make a choice. Outside, the wind slammed against the windows like frantic hands. Emily stepped backward, realizing she was no longer alone in the house. Emily gripped her phone as the hallway lights flickered above her. She felt the cold draft slip around her ankles like a warning. The house seemed to breathe with a slow, uneasy rhythm she couldn't ignore. She stepped toward the living room, trying to steady her trembling hands. Another vibration buzzed against her palm as a new message appeared. It claimed someone had watched her for months without her knowing. It said they had seen her choices and the lies she tried to bury. Emily swallowed hard as the words blurred in front of her eyes. She forced herself to move even, though her legs felt painfully heavy. The floorboards groaned beneath her, as if reacting to each step she took. A faint tapping sound echoed from the kitchen like knuckles on glass. She paused and listened, praying it was just the wind slipping through cracks. The tapping grew sharper and more deliberate with every passing second. Emily's breath hitched as she imagined a shadow standing behind the door. She tried calling her brother, but the signal crashed into sudden silence. Her phone screen dimmed, as if someone drained its battery from afar. She whispered her brother's name, hoping he would somehow hear her fear. The tapping stopped and left a ringing emptiness surrounding her. The sudden quiet felt louder than the noise that had come before it. Emily stepped back as her heartbeat hammered against her ribs violently. She tried to convince herself she was only imagining the danger. But her instincts screamed that the house was no longer safe tonight. She reached for the nearest lamp, but the bulb burst in a sharp flash. Glass scattered across the table like tiny splinters of panic. Emily covered her mouth to keep from crying out too loudly. A dim glow pulsed from her phone as another message arrived slowly. This one said the stranger was already inside and watching her. It told her not to run, because running would only make things worse. Emily scanned the room with wide, frightened eyes, searching for movement. Shadows stretched along the walls like dark fingers reaching toward her. Her voice cracked as she whispered a shaky plea for help. No answer drifted back, except her own echo trembling in the air. She forced herself to move toward the staircase, hopping for a hiding place. Each step sent a dull thud through the wooden frame beneath her feet. Emily reached the top and pressed her back against the railing, shaking. Her phone buzzed one more time with a chilling final line. It said the stranger knew exactly where she was standing right now. Emily's knees nearly buckled as the hallway behind her filled with quiet footsteps. Emily pressed her back harder against the railing as the footsteps grew clearer. A soft shuffle brushed across the floor like fabric dragging over wood. Her pulse pounded so loudly she feared it would give her away instantly. She tightened her grip on the banister while her breath thinned in her chest. The hallway lights flickered again, as if reacting to the presence nearby. Emily leaned forward, slowly trying to peer into the shadows below her. A dim shape shifted near the bottom of the stairs, but stayed out of view. She felt the air change, as if someone exhaled from just a few steps away. Her fingers trembled as she reached for her phone in desperate silence. The screen refused to turn on like it had surrendered to the darkness. Emily tried not to panic, but fear pressed into her ribs like cold metal. A whisper floated upward, carrying her name in a slow, deliberate tone. The voice sounded calm, yet hollow enough to freeze her where she stood. She covered her mouth to stop the terrified gasp clawing up her throat. The whisper came again, softer this time, but impossibly close to her ear. Emily stumbled backward until her shoulder hit the wall behind her sharply. She scanned the hallway for any sign of movement or shifting light. The shadows clung to the corners like thick ink refusing to reveal shapes. She stepped toward her bedroom, hoping the lock would hold if danger followed. Her hand shook as she twisted the knob and slipped inside with a gasp. Emily shut the door quietly and pressed all her weight against it. The darkness inside her room felt less threatening yet far from safe. She reached for a drawer and found a small flashlight tucked underneath papers. The beam flickered on weakly, but offered enough light to steady her nerves. She swept it across the room, checking each corner for hidden figures. Nothing moved except particles of dust drifting through the pale glow. Emily approached the window, hopping to signal someone on the street below. The glass felt cold as ice when she touched it with shaking fingertips. She pushed it open slightly, but a harsh gust forced it back shut. The wind carried an unfamiliar scent like smoke mixed with metal. Emily stepped away, quickly sensing something unsettling lingering outside. Her phone vibrated suddenly, even though its screen remained dark. A new message appeared without warning, written in bold, uneven letters. It said she shouldn't bother calling for help because no one would come. It claimed the entire neighborhood was asleep under a power outage. Emily peered through the blinds and saw the street drowned in silent blackness. Every house looked abandoned under the heavy curtain of night. She felt the weight of isolation sink into her bones like a cold anchor. Another vibration hit her palm, and a chilling image flashed onto the screen. It showed her standing in her bedroom moments ago from an unknown angle. Emily dropped the phone as her entire body locked in sheer terror. She realized someone had been watching her from inside the house long before tonight. A slow creak echoed behind her as the bedroom door handle began to turn. Emily's heart skipped a beat as the door handle twisted slowly in her hand. She pressed herself against the far wall, hoping the shadows would hide her. A low creak announced the door inching open, inviting a sense of dread. Her flashlight trembled in her grip, casting long, shaking beams across the room. A shadow moved just beyond the doorway, barely visible in the dim light. Emily swallowed hard, trying to control the panic clawing at her throat. The shadow shifted closer, deliberate and unnervingly silent on the floorboards. She forced herself to step backward, keeping her eyes fixed on the figure. The floor beneath her squeaked, betraying every small movement she made. Emily's chest tightened as the figure paused for a heartbeat at the threshold. A whisper came again, low and taunting, calling her name in fragments. She realized it wasn't just one person. More than one presence filled the room. The flashlight flickered violently, plunging her into sudden blackness. Emily's breath hitched as she scrambled for her phone to regain some light. A cold hand seemed to brush against her arm, as if testing her resolve. Her phone screen lit briefly, showing a message that made her stomach drop. It claimed they had been inside the room all along, watching her panic unfold. Emily stumbled toward the bed, tripping over the edge and hitting the floor. The shadow moved closer, pausing near the corner where her bag lay. She grabbed the nearest object, a small metal lamp, and held it like a weapon. The shadow shifted again, and she caught the glint of eyes reflecting the light. Emily realized she needed to think fast or risk being trapped completely. She crawled toward the window, dragging the lamp across the floorboards. The figure followed slowly, deliberately, without a single sound of urgency. Emily yanked the curtains and pushed against the glass, testing if it would budge. Her hand slipped on the cold surface, and she nearly lost her balance. The shadow hesitated for a moment, then inched forward again with patient menace. Emily's fingers found the latch, and she pulled with all her strength. The window gave way, swinging open just enough to slip through. She clambered onto the roof ledge, heart hammering as the night air bit her skin. The shadow reached the window and paused, as if realizing she had escaped. Emily inched forward across the roof, looking for a safe path to the ground. Her mind raced, imagining every possible way the intruders could follow. She spotted a small tree near the edge that might cushion her fall. Emily climbed down slowly, praying the branches would hold her weight. Halfway down, the roof shifted slightly, sending a shiver through her arms. The shadow remained at the window, motionless but clearly observing her escape. Emily landed on the branches with a muted thud, pain shooting through her ankle. She steadied herself and took a deep breath, knowing she wasn't safe yet. The night was still, except for the sound of her shallow, panicked breathing. Emily began moving toward the alley behind the house, trying to disappear into darkness. Her eyes darted to every corner, every shadow, as if danger could strike from anywhere. The house loomed behind her, silent yet threatening, a reminder she had been hunted. Emily forced herself to keep moving, step by step, praying she could reach safety. Emily's foot struck the uneven pavement, pain shooting up her leg. She limped into the alley, glancing over her shoulder nervously. The night swallowed her form as she pressed against the cold brick wall. Every shadow seemed to twitch as if alive, following her every move. Her phone vibrated again, screen lighting up with another chilling message. It said, "You can run, but we always know where you hide." Emily's breath came in short, jagged gasps as fear tightened around her chest. She hugged the wall and moved slowly, trying to make as little noise as possible. A faint sound of footsteps echoed far behind, making her heart race faster. She risked a peek and saw nothing, but her instincts screamed danger lurked. Emily spotted a fire escape ladder attached to the side of a nearby building. She ran toward it, ignoring the sharp pain in her ankle. Her fingers gripped the cold metal as she pulled herself upward, one step at a time. The vibration from her phone seemed louder now, more insistent, more threatening. Emily reached the rooftop, chest heaving, muscles burning from exertion. She paused to listen, trying to catch any hint of movement below. The street remained empty, dark, and silent except for her own ragged breathing. A new message appeared on her phone, flashing a photo of her rooftop location. Emily froze, realizing the intruders had eyes everywhere, tracking her constantly. She slid the phone into her pocket, forcing herself to focus on escaping. The edge of the building loomed ahead, a narrow bridge to the next rooftop. Emily peered across and calculated the distance, heart pounding violently. She took a deep breath and sprinted, leaping across with trembling legs. Landing hard, she stumbled but managed to keep her balance on the other side. The roof extended to a fire escape, leading down to another alley below. Emily descended carefully, each rung creaking under her weight. Halfway down, the vibration returned, more urgent, demanding attention. Her phone displayed a message. "You can't hide from what's inside the walls." Emily's mind raced, realizing the threat wasn't just outside anymore. She reached the ground and ducked behind a dumpster, trying to catch her breath. Every noise seemed amplified in the alley, from distant sirens to dripping water. Her ankle throbbed painfully, but she forced herself to move forward. Emily saw a faint glow from the end of the alley, a possible exit. She crept toward it, careful not to make a sound that could draw attention. A sudden scraping echoed behind her, making her freeze completely. Emily held her breath, hoping the sound was just the wind or debris. The alley remained still, but the sense of being watched never left. She pushed on, step by step, desperate to reach the street beyond. Her phone vibrated once more with a final warning, daring her to keep running. Emily ignored it, focusing on the small patch of light ahead. Each step felt like hours as she navigated the twisting, narrow path. Finally, she reached the street, empty and quiet, but not safe yet. Emily glanced back, the alley swallowed in shadows, hiding the danger behind. She took a shaky breath and started moving forward, every sense alert. The city lights ahead offered hope, but she knew the night was far from over. Emily stepped onto the empty street, her ankles screaming with every movement. She scanned the area, searching for any sign of life or a place to hide. The city lights flickered intermittently, casting shadows that seemed alive. Her phone vibrated violently, lighting up with another chilling message. It read, "You think the streets can save you. We are closer than ever." Emily swallowed hard, forcing herself to move despite the pain in her leg. She spotted a small convenience store up ahead, a possible refuge for now. The automatic doors creaked as she pushed them open, stepping inside quickly. The store was dimly lit, aisles of snacks and drinks stretching into the shadows. Emily moved cautiously, her eyes scanning for any sign of someone else. She ducked behind a rack of chips, phone clutched tightly in her hand. Another vibration made her jump. The screen displayed a live camera feed. It showed her crouched behind the rack, captured from somewhere inside the store. Emily realized the intruders had infiltrated multiple layers of her escape. Her chest tightened as adrenaline surged through her body, heightening fear. She peeked over the top of the rack, seeing empty aisles but feeling trapped. A bell jingled softly as the entrance door swung open, making her freeze. A man appeared, casually browsing, but something in his movements felt off. Emily stayed low, heart hammering, praying he didn't notice her presence. The man lingered near the drinks, scanning the aisles in slow, deliberate motions. Emily backed further into the shadows, looking for another way out quickly. Her phone buzzed again, a message flashing. "He's not here by accident." Emily's mind raced, realizing every step she took was anticipated already. She crawled toward the back of the store, spotting a small emergency exit. The door led to a narrow alley that could take her further from the street. Emily pushed the door open slowly, praying it wouldn't squeak under strain. The alley was darker than the street, lined with trash bins and flickering lights. She stepped cautiously, every sound amplified in the quiet night air. Her phone vibrated once more, showing a map with a blinking red dot. The dot moved closer, signaling that the watchers were tracking her constantly. Emily's stomach dropped as she realized she had almost no safe ground left. A sudden noise made her spin around, seeing a shadow dart across the wall. She sprinted down the alley, ignoring the sharp pain in her ankle entirely. Trash cans tipped over under her weight, clattering like a warning bell. Emily reached the end of the alley, seeing a street leading into brighter lights. She slowed for a moment, trying to regain control of her trembling body. The blinking red dot on her phone had stopped moving for the first time. Emily's breath came in ragged bursts as she considered what to do next. She realized she couldn't keep running aimlessly without a plan. The bright lights ahead promised safety, but the danger could follow. Her mind raced with strategies as her phone vibrated yet again. The message read, "You can't escape what has already seen you." Emily clenched her fists, refusing to surrender to the terror closing in. She took a deep breath and stepped into the street, determination in her eyes. Every instinct screamed to run, but she knew she needed a new approach. The city sprawled ahead, filled with both danger and possible salvation. Emily moved forward cautiously, aware that every step could be watched. The night was far from over, and she had only begun to fight for survival. Emily moved cautiously down the street, keeping to the shadows as much as possible. Her ankle throbbed painfully, but she ignored it, focusing on the path ahead. The blinking red dot on her phone had returned, moving closer, relentless. Every streetlight flickered like a warning, casting brief glimpses of danger. She passed empty storefronts, scanning windows for any sign of movement. Emily's heart pounded as she realized someone could be following her still. A sudden car horn made her jump, sending her stumbling into the gutter. She scrambled up, checking her surroundings, but the street appeared empty. Her phone vibrated again, a new message flashing on the screen instantly. It said, "You can run, but we are everywhere you think is safe." Emily clenched her fists, determination hardening within her chest. She needed a plan, not just running blindly through the dark streets. Ahead, a 24-hour diner offered a faint glimmer of light and possible refuge. Emily moved toward it, limping, making as little noise as possible. The diner's door jingled softly as she pushed it open and stepped inside. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, harsh but revealing every corner. A lone worker behind the counter glanced up, suspicious but not threatening. Emily slid into a booth in the far corner, trying to blend with the shadows. Her phone buzzed yet again, showing another live feed of the diner interior. She realized the intruders had eyes everywhere, even inside public spaces. Emily took a deep breath, forcing herself to think clearly despite the panic. The worker returns to wiping the counter, unaware of the danger around. She watched the door nervously, knowing it could open at any moment. Her phone displayed a map, with multiple red dots moving closer from all sides. Emily felt trapped, surrounded, yet still refusing to give in to fear. She grabbed a coffee cup, using it as a makeshift weapon if necessary. A shadow moved past the diner window, barely visible against the night. Emily froze, straining to hear any sound of footsteps or a sudden movement. Her phone buzzed again, displaying a message. "Do you really think you are safe?" Emily's pulse surged, but she forced herself to stay calm and observant. She needed to find a way out, a place where they couldn't reach her easily. The diner's back door offered a possible escape into a narrow alley behind. Emily waited until the worker was distracted, then slipped toward the exit. Her hand trembled on the doorknob as she pushed it open slowly. The alley was dark and silent, a small corridor between tall buildings. Emily moved quickly but carefully, keeping close to the walls for cover. She checked over her shoulder constantly, expecting someone to appear. Her phone buzzed again, but this time it only displayed a chilling image. It showed her running through the alley, captured from above, tracked perfectly. Emily's stomach sank, realizing no place was truly safe from their watchful eyes. She rounded a corner and spotted a faint light coming from a side street. Determination surged through her despite the exhaustion and fear. Emily knew she had to keep moving, using every instinct to survive the night. The shadows stretched long and threatening, but she refused to stop. Her ankles screamed with each step, yet she pressed forward, unwilling to surrender. Emily disappeared into the light ahead, ready to fight for every second of safety. The night remained dangerous, but she had learned how to stay one step ahead. Emily reached the edge of the street, breathing hard, body trembling from exhaustion. The city lights offered a small sense of relief, but danger still lingered nearby. Her phone buzzed one last time, the screen showing a single ominous message. It read, "You survived tonight, but we are never far behind." Emily dropped it into her pocket, refusing to give them any more power. She limped forward, scanning every shadow, every corner for signs of movement. The night felt endless, but she had learned to stay vigilant and alert. Every step was calculated, each decision made with survival in mind. Emily glanced back at the dark streets, knowing she had escaped once again. She disappeared into the city, determined to survive whatever came next. The night remained dangerous, but she had found strength she never knew she had. Emily kept moving, every instinct sharp, ready for the challenges ahead. The shadows behind her grew silent, at least for now, as she vanished into light.